They thought I was just a parent, until the billionaire came begging. They thought I was just a parent. No security, no influence, no power. When their son hurt my daughter, they expected anger, noise, a lawsuit. Instead, I stayed silent. 24 hours later, a billionaire was standing at my door, on his knees, asking a question he should have asked sooner. "Who are you?" My daughter came home earlier than usual. Her steps were slow, not tired, careful, like the world had become something sharp. She didn't cry. That scared me more than tears ever could. She sat at the kitchen table and stared at the surface like it was safer than my eyes. Her hands trembled when she reached for water. I waited. Parents learn this the hard way. Push too fast, and the truth hides deeper. Finally, she spoke. A name. A school everyone respected. A last name everyone feared. The son of a billionaire. She told me what happened in pieces. Laughter. Witnesses who looked away. A teacher who pretended not to notice. When she finished, she whispered, "He said no one would believe me." I felt something cold settle behind my ribs. That night, I didn't call the school. I didn't post. I didn't threaten. I asked one quiet question instead. "Did anyone see it?" She nodded. And that was enough. I went into my study and opened a locked drawer I hadn't touched in years. Inside were names, agreements, favors that never expire. At the top of the page was one name circled in red. It wasn't the boy's. It was his father's, and next to it, a note that read, "Still owes you." The school called the next morning. Not to apologize, to warn. They spoke carefully. About misunderstandings. About reputations. By noon, a legal firm sent a letter suggesting we move on, for everyone's benefit. I thanked them. Then I made a call. Just one. No accusations. No emotion. By sunset, a major acquisition tied to the billionaire's company was unexpectedly delayed. By midnight, a regulatory audit long dormant was suddenly reactivated. No headlines yet, just pressure. At 1:47 a.m., an unfamiliar number tried to reach me. I didn't answer. A message followed. It wasn't angry. It wasn't confident. It was careful. "This is an associate of Mr. Hale. We believe there's been a misunderstanding. We'd like to resolve it privately." Resolve what? I waited until morning to respond. "I don't want money," I said calmly. "I want accountability." There was a pause long enough to hear breathing. Then the voice said, "You're making a mistake." I replied, "No, you already did." That afternoon, the boy stopped showing up at school. By evening, his friends pretended they didn't know him. At night, the billionaire went on television. Smiling, polished, unbothered. Behind the scenes, banks were asking questions they don't ask unless they're scared. At 3:06 a.m., my doorbell camera lit up for the first time. I didn't open the door. I watched. 2 black cars. No guards. No confidence. The billionaire stood there in plain clothes. Not the man from magazines. A father who hadn't slept. He didn't knock again. The next day, the truth surfaced. Not rumors, not leaks. Documents. Witnesses who suddenly felt safe speaking. The school reversed its tone overnight. Apologies came fast. Too fast. The billionaire called me directly. "I can fix this," he said. "I can make it go away." I answered quietly, "So could you have?" "Yesterday." Silence. Then he asked the question powerful people ask only when they're losing. "What do you want?" I told him the truth. "I want your son to learn something money can't erase." His voice cracked. Just slightly. "You don't understand the damage you're causing." I looked at my daughter across the room. Reading again, breathing easier. "I understand exactly," I said. That evening, news broke of a formal inquiry, this time unavoidable. The billionaire's empire wasn't collapsing. It was bleeding. Slowly. Publicly. At dawn the next morning, the doorbell rang again, and this time I opened it. They stood there, him and his wife. No cameras. No lawyers. Just fear. They didn't speak. They knelt. Right there on my doorstep. "We didn't know," his wife whispered. "We swear we didn't know." I looked past them back into the house. My daughter stood in the hallway, watching. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. This isn't about what you knew, I said. It's about what you ignored. The billionaire's voice broke completely. Please, he said, tell me how to stop this. I shook my head. You don't stop it, I said. You live with it. I told them what would happen next. No deals. No silence. No protection. Their son would face consequences like anyone else. And they would fund a foundation publicly for victims whose stories never get believed. They agreed without hesitation. Weeks later, my daughter walked back into school unafraid. Heads turned, but not at her. At him. The billionaire sent one final message. If I had known who you were. I never replied, because real power doesn't need introductions. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and share for more interesting stories. See you in my next video.